It's a nice feeling to invent something where there was no template there before you to figure it out. I always wanted to show people what it was like to be a comedian. And isn't that really what it's like? You just meet a guy and you look in each other's eyes and you go, hey, we're the same.
Yeah.
And then you start having fun, and that's your day. I'm Jerry Seinfeld, and this is Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. The idea of the show, honestly, was to try and create something that fit a whole new medium.
Right.
I really was thinking, what would be a good TV show for a phone? That was really where I started.
Right.
And I thought this would be fun for a phone, because you don't have to follow a story. Why would I put a show on a big, heavy rectangle in your house when I can put it in your pocket? I would much rather put it in your pocket. Right. When I tell people about the show and they say, what is this? I go, it's in your pocket right now. You know, that's a fun thing to say. It's like a magic act or something. I mean, yes, it's in your pocket. It was so cool. The internet fascinated me also as a network. I thought, why do I need a TV network? Why can't, this is a network. I think it's an interesting medium in terms of it's kind of formless, whereas TV seems kind of trapped in its forms. You know, a 30-minute comedy, 60-minute drama, you know, 1-minute commercial. Right. It's very trapped, you know, and that's why TV is suffering in comparison to the internet, because the internet has infinite forms. Right. So that's tough to compete with for TV.
If you were going to do some sort of creative project, would you bring it to network TV?
It just seems smaller.
Network TV seems
smaller to me than the internet.
Well,
you can meet with anybody.
Let me ask you, do you think you could put that on TV as just a regular TV show? Just the new girl and then this? Really? Don't you think there's something, there's a nice, that it's not part of that? I think that's part of the appeal. See, I'm getting some nodding here for that. The network medium of the internet offers opportunities that are more unique than have ever existed before.
Okay.
For example, when I did the TV series, I knew, you know, once we got the NBC said, okay, we want to do this as a series, I know I'm making 22 minutes. I know there's a commercial in the middle. I know how many sets I can tell my story on. When you go into the internet, nobody knows anything. There are no rules. So we were able to we invented almost every aspect of this concept with nothing to compare it to. Right. I mean, so we made up a thing. I said, okay, I think a season should be 6 episodes long. Okay, so that's 6 episodes long. I think we should do 2 seasons a year. Okay, I think the shows should be 11 to 17 minutes. I mean, that's all just made up.
And then if somebody's really engaging, you just go longer if you want. Or if really boring, you cut
My
it
initial
off.
idea for this show was I wanted to deliver it in 3 sizes. Okay. So that you could watch the amount of interest you had. Because I didn't know.
How do you go about picking the guests for the show?
Just people I think are funny. See, I could never do a regular talk show because you've got to fill the container every night. Right. And there's just not enough people that I really want to talk to.
I have noticed that most of the guests are mostly white males of 22 episodes that you've had.
Yeah, let's get into that.
No, but you...
Take a look over here, Peter. What do you see? A lot of whiteys. What's going on here? Oh, this really pisses me off. But go ahead. Really pisses me off. People think it's the census or something. I mean, this has got to represent the actual pie chart of America. Who cares? It's just funny. You know, funny is the world that I live in. You're funny, I'm interested. You're not funny, I'm not interested. Okay. And I have no interest in gender or race or anything like that, but everyone else is kind of with their little calculating, is this the exact right mix? You know, I think that's, to me, it's anti-comedy. It's really amazing to me that you, who are probably even crankier than me, are able to engage. You're able to engage with almost anybody. I don't have that breadth of interactive ability. I pretty much engage with funny people or weird people or, you know, kind of off people. Anybody who's a little normal, even just like, let's say a normal actor or actress, I'm lost. I got nothing, I'm not curious, I'm not interested. You got a show, I don't care. You know,
He's
I couldn't
just
even
described
fake
30 years of my life. I saw the show.
That's great.
It's a weird situation. We have a format or a culture that wants some people to go out and have conversations, witty conversations, to help promote their project. But sometimes that's the exact antithesis of what it is they do. There are amazing actors who are terrific, and if you put them in a small space, they can give a nuanced performance with very, you know, small movements of their face, and it's beautiful, and they get it just right, and they win Oscars. And then people say, now you got to go promote that movie, get out there. And they can't do it. And that's when it's my job I always think it's my job to expand or contrast, go high or go low. My job is to make them look good. So we have some people come on. I see people whose hands are trembling out there. And I feel empathy for them, and I want them to be comfortable. So I will, I've had people who've said nothing, and I have filled it in with stories. I have said, that's funny, you exhaled, and that reminds me of the time, and then and then it's over, and I come off, and my producer says, hey, you know, she was pretty funny. Well, she was not funny! Look at the tank, that was me! Look at it! You know, and it's, but that's my job.
Part of it, to me, is this kind of social experiment of like, I sometimes think of it as I'm just trying to isolate a gene here and put it on display. I go, look at these weird people.
What have you learned about these people that you didn't know before? What have you learned about yourself?
Well, which is, I mean, I've known it my whole life, but it's an unbelievable thrill to me to show it to the public, which is that this is a breed of human. This is a subset, bizarre, Pekingese, you know, weird breed of human, and that they're all have a similarity.
Right.
Because I can relate to them. That's another bizarre breed, people I can relate to. But, so that's what I've learned, is that these people are all the same. Comedians are, they don't, everything that they do outside of making a joke is a huge, what's the word, not accommodation, but compensation. It's like all social interaction, everything that they do is very difficult for them, except making jokes. That's the only thing they really want to do.
Yeah.
Everything else feels horrible to comedians. All socializing, everything. You don't succeed really at anything else but that. So, and their heads are always going, and everything they see, they're always looking for what's funny about that, or there's something funny. They're just always thinking about what's funny. And it's just a fun kind of person to hang around, you know? They just want to make jokes. I'm a little reluctant to go beyond the stand-up comedy community.
Right.
I have found there is something there. When, I mean, this is like 37 years of being a stand-up comedian. I've walked into 1 million dressing rooms. I sit down. I mean, in London, Norway, Amsterdam. I go into a dressing room. There's 2 other comedians sitting there. It's instant. We're going. We're talking. It's funny. And I don't find that all the time. And that's kind of one of the things of this show is. Almost any 2 comedians will get into something funny pretty quickly. My whole TV series is based on when I talk with Larry David, it's always funny. It's always funny. And I thought, I want to do a show that sounds like me and Larry talking, which is exactly what we did.
Yeah.
So then I thought, well, if I have a few hours, is there enough material? Can I cut it down? Would it be interesting? Would it work? It was really a complete fantasy, you know, if there would be enough. And I still sometimes think, what if nothing funny happens?
Yeah.
What if we don't think of anything funny? And somehow it kind of works. There's a social tone to it that's different. that I think is a little different than it's what you have with your very closest friends.
Right.
But most people don't have it beyond that. But comedians seem to have it with almost any other comedian because of the uniqueness of the mindset that draws these kind of people.
Do you like coffee or do you like going to get coffee?
All of it, the whole thing.
Anything like more? Do you like do you like the getting more?
I love the getting. I love that it's a thing, that you go and get it, like this. Nobody says, hey, want to go get a lemonade? It's like, everybody likes lemonade, but it's just not fun to go get it. It's like, coffee is like such a thing to make, and it does something to you on a few different levels, and it's just a cup of liquid, but you can really make a thing out of it.
I didn't know about coffee in my younger years. I think I discovered coffee after I had kids, and I didn't have time to have long meals with my friends anymore, but we could meet for coffee. And then I realized, boy, this coffee really gets you talking. And I thought maybe I'll do a show where you just talk with coffee. And that's kind of where that came from.
Could we have done the show without cars? Could it be just comedians?
No.
Comedians getting coffee?
No.
Comedians playing cards getting coffee?
No.
Comedians fishing getting coffee?
No.
Has to be cars.
And these are just my theories. They're personal. I don't know if they hold water, but these are my theories. I think part of what makes the show watchable is it's moving. That there's an energy.
Right.
When you have no narrative drive, you're not telling a story. No one's waiting to see what happens. We know they're going to get coffee. That's the only story.
Right.
You need a kinetic energy. So it was like take a talk show and make it move and make it outside. And then maybe you could sit through the 11, 12 minutes, whatever it is. Actually, now that, Sue mentioned comedians in cars, we kind of started to cook that idea up on one of our drives out there.
Well,
right?
weirdly, independently, we came up with the same idea. So Jerry and I would go driving in one of his cars, and we went to Rico, and we got out at this coffee place.
Right.
And Jerry said, I have an idea for a show. And I said, I know the idea. And you said, you can't know the idea, I haven't told you. And I said, I know the idea. And you said, what's the idea? And I said, you do an interview show in a car where you drive long distances and interview someone, because the great thing about driving long distances is, A, it's totally banal, so you start to say things like, well, I guess you want to know about that time I had sex with a moose,
right,
or whatever, because you're just so bored. But it's also dynamic, because each time you pass a weird truck with the dead elk,
right,
you then have to get gas and then get back on and pass it again. So I said, that's your idea. It's an interview show in the car.
Here's another theory of mine. Moving people around keeps them awake. I think that this show has anything that's interesting is I've really kind of introduced the idea of the edited talk show without an audience.
Right, but it's not like you have writers.
No.
You don't have directors. You don't have a producer.
I do. I have a producer.
Other than yourself?
Yeah, if somebody says, listen, we got to have a camera on Wednesday, I'm not making that call. I brought a thing, if I may, to show what, like the actual moment feels like and what we make it into.
So this is raw material?
Yeah, just completely raw, like 60 seconds. I think the first one is me and Bob Einstein. What really happened, because none of this is in the rhythm and the pace and the feeling.
Right.
So I wanted to show you a little bit about, what we're making out of the raw material. So I brought the raw material and the finished product.
All right.
Were they the first couple to what?
Magnificent. Enjoy.
Thank you.
The first couple.
Well, who feels like an idiot right now? I'll tell you who.
Yeah.
Not me.
You don't feel like an idiot?
You do.
Why?
Because look at the crap you got, and look at the authentic.
Apparently, I'm at my restaurant.
It's not restaurant, it's restaurant.
So,
George Shapiro would be so proud of me.
so,
Oh my God. That is fantastic. Please don't take your teeth out again. Watch them in the coffee and then put them back in. Please don't do that.
and I did it all for this, and all for this game, this whatever it is. I had my teeth taken out.
Just for the gag.
Finish anything for a laugh. So,
Oh, that is so good.
you won on this one. Yeah, you went. How good is that?
Please take half.
No. No.
If it's the last thing you do, we can be like Larry David.
No, I'm gonna just try this. Okay, so,
If I try that, will you take this?
no. Magnificent.
Enjoy.
Oh my God, that is fantastic. Please don't take your teeth out again. That is so good.
You won on this one. How good is that?
Please take half.
No.
It's the last thing you do. If I try that, will you take this?
No. All right, what do you want, a bite?
Give me that half.
You gonna take the whole half?
I'm just gonna take a bite and I'll give
No,
it back
I'll
to
cut
you.
it up and give
You're
it to you.
putting your hands all over everything.
You're
It's
goddamn
disgusting.
right I am. Well, you were gonna put your hands on my sandwich. Here. Touch my
Oh,
fork.
now you're touching it again.
I'm very clean.
We're having a horrible day. People are funny here, aren't they?
Oh, yeah, and here is where you get the blowing of the nose after the meal. A complete head clear. It's usually this. Bing, wow, 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 and then it's this. Seegi, yeegi, yeegi.
Did you learn anything from hearing people laugh at parts? And
Yeah, I mean, I would go back and re-edit it now. I would make. I'm a little compulsive, a compulsive tinkerer. You know, I love to just let's try this and maybe shrink that section a little bit. I mean, that's what stand-up is.
Yeah.
Is constantly moving the accordion to different sizes.
that is
And, I'll give you an example of something that I got away with here. Julie and I are talking about net-a-porter. I say, do you use that thing? And she says, yeah, I use it. And she says, I think I have a problem with it. See if Jessica knows. So I decide I'll call Jess right there. So I call her, and I think I need something funny to get out of this. And I say to Julie, just take the phone and say, and thank my wife for turning me into a human being.
Thing from Jerry saying, wrap it up. Oh, yeah, and by the way, thank you for training him to become a human being. Because what I was dealing with was, well, anyway. Okay, take care.
She is not on the phone with Jessica. It's totally fake. And I do a lot of that.
Yeah.
I do a lot of fake things like that. There's no second take. I didn't say do it again. I go, just do it, you know, and if there's like a shot of something that I'm missing.
yeah.
For example, the guy who says to me, can I trade? Hey, you want to trade, Jerry? You know, when I pull up in Julia's driveway, he says, hey, you want to trade? Well, you can't hear that guy because it was just a real guy, and there's no microphone to pick him up. So somebody in editing just said it. And then I subtitle in at the bottom. It is what the guy said, but if I wanted to change it, if it wasn't a funny line, I would have changed it. Because who cares, you know? So there's this, incredible latitude of making this show. Or like if I don't have a shot, I'll just say, send somebody, send some kid out with an iPhone and just get the shot. If I need a shot of a street or something that's missing, or something we talked about. That what I am good at, and what every comedian is good at, is knowing how to carefully manage an audience's attention span. And that is also the key to this show. For example, I'll give you another. When the show was first cut together, again, to go back to that little scene with the phone about Net-a-Porter and just talking to my wife. Julia says, ask your wife about this thing about Net-a-Porter. I go, you know what, I'm going to ask her right now. And I take the phone, and I dial the phone, and then Jess picks up the phone. And I go, hi, Jess, I'm sitting here with Julia. I'm in the middle, we're actually right in the middle of doing an episode. She has a question about Net-a-Porter. Do you mind, can I ask you right now? Are you busy? Okay, you got to get rid of all that. All of that goes, because it's just boring. Now, it's not boring in a TV series. You can, when you're watching a TV series, you're watching an episode of a sitcom, there's a story that you're hooked on. And there are characters, and this is going somewhere. This thing is going nowhere. So, even when they first cut it together, they even had me dialing. No, you can't have that. That microsecond is on the internet, because the internet is the most brutal medium for attention span. The distance from your finger to that off or stop, you're holding it right there while you're watching things. You know, how many times you see a video, you go, oh, that looks good, I want to see that. You press it, and they want 15-second commercial. No, no, you don't get 15 seconds. It's not that good. Like Amazon.com, one-click ordering. That's where I got this idea. They've understood 2 clicks, I don't even want it anymore. I changed my mind in between clicks. As a stand-up comedian, you must master that attention span dynamic of an audience. And it's no different from, you know, trying to do jokes for 4 drunks in a nightclub at 2 o'clock in the morning. You've got to get their attention and hold it. So you spend your life doing it, and that's what you have to do on the internet to survive. If you put music under a scene that has actual written narrative, it ruins the scene. But since this has no drive, no point, the music doesn't fight with it, and it just seems to kind of fills in the little gaps. You know, cars have a lot of personality to me. These are the cars that I love from the 60s and 70s mostly, some 50s, that are just more interesting objects than they are today.
Why isn't Volvo making cars that look like that now?
Because we have a lot of electronics and a lot of government agencies and lawyers that require cars to be safe and clean and not emit certain things, and they have to fulfill all of those legal things. In those days, if you want to make a car, make a car. If you can sell it, sell it. That's what made those cars so much more interesting. They can't make cars. That's another thing of the show. Remember when cars were fun. I thought people would enjoy seeing things they don't realize they don't see anymore. You know, a VW Bug.
Well, I think that's absolutely right.
You know, it's fun to see those. Even if you're not a car person, you go, oh, that used to be in my vision all the time, and now it's gone.
Right.
God bless you, brother.
I kind of missed from talk shows the funny talking of casually hanging out. There's no casual hanging out anymore on talk shows. The real estate is too valuable.
I asked you about this before, and I think they thought you were making a joke, the fighter pilots. You were a pilot, right?
Oh, yes. I was a pilot during the war. You remember the war. It was in all the papers.
I read it. Encouraging it.
Well, I told you about that the last time I was on your show, you know, but I fought the whole war in Oklahoma.
Is that what you say?
Now, I don't know why people laugh when I say that, you know, because that's evidently where they needed me or they wouldn't have sent me. No, go ahead and laugh. I don't care. It doesn't bother me, you know, but if you remember, you think back. No, first of all, I was an instructor. I was in V-26, 89s first at Altus, Oklahoma, and then V-26s at Frederick, Oklahoma, and I was an instructor there And if you think back, and I'm not mad at anybody or anything, but just remember, there was not one Japanese aircraft got past Tulsa. Guns on our airplane.
And that record still stands, I understand. Yeah, to this day.
To this day. I think I haven't checked the papers.
Oh, well.
I've been working all day.
Of course you have.
Oh, yeah, I was.
What commercial? Were you shooting a commercial today?
Yeah, and you don't believe that, do you?
Whatever you say.
Exactly
what time did I lose control of the show? You make a note of it?
I want you to feel like you're just hanging out with us. So I take out the celebrity reaction so that it has this kind of small, accessible vibe of, yeah, I would like to hang out with those two guys for 20 minutes, but I don't want the show business stuff.
What's this?
Oh, this is just some Acura parts. They told me my product placement was getting a little too heavy-handed, so I thought instead of the whole car...
Come on, man, I got a hot yoga.
When we made the deal with Acura, which is what enabled the show, after I did the 10, it was over. I wasn't going to do any more because I couldn't actually get a company to step up and go, okay, we'll pay the amount of money it takes to do this, and with some little profit to make it, worth all the time, and except for Acura. So the guy there, Mike Acavidi, who believed in me and believed in the show, kind of took that risk with us, and one of the deal points is we have to include our products in the show. And I said to him, do you mind if I make it funny as part of the show? And he said no. And so those are product placements that are in movies and TV shows now, but you're supposed to not notice them. So we thought, well, why don't we make a fuss about it? Why don't we make it really lame? And,
This is the part of this I really, really admired when you say, where's our product placement car? And I thought, great, this is...
Because you're supposed to be very smooth about that.
I thought that was lovely.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
So I just kind of think of, in an episode with Jon Stewart, the car tries to run us over, the product placement. So, and I kind of like that. I like that because this is something that's kind of part of TV now, and movies to a certain extent. So we thought, well, let's do something with it instead of just having something forced upon us.
That's a simple, small idea, but I think it's tremendous.
It does make money, yes.
It makes money. It's profitable.
Yeah.
And then does Acura handle all of the costs for it as a sponsor? Is that how it works?
I can't reveal that right here, Peter, because we're on TV. It's kind of a complicated arrangement, but we did figure it out, which I was very proud of because a lot of people said to me, you can't make money doing a thing like this. I did feel like I wanted it to work as a business because that to me was, in this medium, to create a show that made money hasn't really been done, in any kind of, in a significant way. That is, you could get big people. And so, yeah, that was part of the puzzle that I enjoyed trying to solve. If this show could not be done making money, I don't think I would do it. I'm not that self-indulgent that I would just pay to make a show that just, so I could say I have a show.